Hey everybody, I'm going to show you how I did the leather on my UltraSaber Arbiter. That's a skin harvested from an old coat. Going to get some measurements here, about 7/8 under the emitter and 1/4 of an inch for the grooves. And start making some cuts. I don't know how many times I've recounted these. 8 apparently doesn't stick in my brain, but we'll do some of those cuts. And that was 1, 2, 5. No, that was 3. And finish those up. And got a good fit. That looks really nice. Give those a bit of a snug into the groove there. That looks good too. Forgot to take the measurements down here at the bottom of the hilts. That was 3/8. And did some more of those. Again, kept forgetting how many I was supposed to cut, but got that finished up. That's Madeira metallic gold thread quilt basting spray. A little bit of barge. The quilt basting spray that I use there is a little bit stickier than a Post-it note, and it has a really long open time. So if you ever need to just kind of stick something down, but not really, quilt basting spray is where it's at. And then here I'm going in, trying to hit the center of that little piece of leather there. And once I do that, I'm going to settle that into the groove as soon as I find the back. And just sits right down in there. This is where the quilt basting spray really comes in handy. And then just sort of walk that back and forth to settle it in. And now it's going to stick pretty much on its own. Don't have to worry too much about placement. And then coming back around, I'm going to come back in with the needle a little bit short of all the way around, because then I'll be able to pull against it and get a good snug tension on that piece of leather. Try to aim for the center. I got it more or less most of the time. And then here we're going to take off that little extra bit there. But it snugs up nice. Beautiful. Had to back up a little bit and get fussy about things. In the end, I'll do some trimming with scissors, so it doesn't really make too much difference if it's a little off right there. And then I'm coming around. Here's the first loop. I'm going to go around twice. I'm going to go back in at the hole where I came out with the thread at the beginning. I'm going to try to come out right next to the thread. We want to try to keep everything in the middle here. And I have to fight with this because leather's tough. And my needle's gotten a little bit bent. I'm going through all this, but I get it back through there. Coming under the leather at this point gives it a little more tension, and I just feel like it's a little more secure. And then we got that in good and snug. Just coming back around. I went around twice because it gave it a bolder look with the gold thread. Now I'm just going to use a piece of tape to hold it in place. That's not keeping any tension or anything like that. It's just keeping it from falling out of the groove. And here's a thing I do a lot in my costume making. If you ever want to not see any kind of a thread end at all, you tie a knot a little bit past where you want it to end. And then good tight knot. Go back into the hole that I came out of before. And this one, it doesn't really matter where you come out because you're going to clip this thread in a way that makes it unseeable. And you just get everything twisted around straight here. We'll come in close and I'll show you what's going to happen here. So there's our little knot. Right there. There he is. And so we're just going to pop this under the leather. Instead of tying a knot on top of the leather, we're tying a knot and then burying it under the leather. With the tension and the adhesive that's in there, that's going to stay great. It just, boop, right under, just like that. And now we're going to give a good haul on that thread and clip it right there. And the tension that's left in the thread is going to pull it right off, right back under. And so you won't see any ties or anything. Excuse me. And then get that tape out of there. And there's those. Show you at the angle there. It's all buried right down in those grooves, but it doesn't completely fill them up. So you still get quite a nice grip up there. I like to swing this saber two-handed, and that's nice to have a good grip. And then here's where I'm coming in. I've got my little teeniest embroidery scissors, and you can kind of see where just where the leather overlaps when it comes back around, the corners just sort of flip up there. So I'm just going through and making those flush. And that's just, I could get awfully fussy with this. That perfectionist tendency part of my brain wants to keep going, and I have to give a glass of wine and put it to bed sometimes, because pretty soon you'll ruin it. But anyway, I'm just going through and getting all those bits. Got a nice ASMR quality to those clips. Get some more of them there. This last one here is where I started to get a little over-involved. But just put it down. Perfect is the enemy of finished. There we go. Wait, I think I go in one more time. Yep. There we go. Just get it nice. And there's that. Feels good, doesn't feel very lumpy. Works out pretty well. Up here, don't know what happened there. Up here, I'm going in here for a measurement. And I'm just gonna see what kind of overlap we've got right there. Make a little mark. That's just a chalk pencil. Doesn't show up very well on leather. Doesn't show up very well on anything, basically. I don't like chalk pencils, not even for dressmaking. I prefer just a plain piece of tailor's chalk, but couldn't find it at this time. Here off camera, I've made a pattern. I've hit that with a little bit of the basting spray on the back. Hold that in place. And that grid is just telling me, I'm going to do a running stitch here. It's telling me where I'm going to go with my up and my down. And so we're just going to go through and I'm going to leave loose ends here because I'm going to use these loose ends to go back around the same way that I did with the grip there. I'm going to have the first layers put on for me now, but then I'm going to go back through the existing holes for a second round. And here I'm supposed to come up through this hole, but it's sometimes easier. No, I'm going down through that one. I must come up at the next one. It's a lot easier coming from the back to, here it is. I'm going to poke a hole on the top, and it's not really visible in the video, but when you poke a hole in leather, it's there for good, and so you can see it from the bottom. And it's just much easier to be accurate with my stitching that way. And here I'm just, there you can see I've done all of this running stitches. Now I'm just trying to tease that paper out and let the quilt basting spray let go. And it took a little bit to get some of the stuff off. And you don't feel any residue. That quilt basting spray really sticks to the thing that you spray it on. And then when you stick that down to something, it doesn't really transfer the adhesive. It's just great stuff. I love it. And here I'm taking, I had to go back in with another piece of thread. So there you can see I popped that knot back under, if I can get it grip. There we go, popped right in. And I didn't have enough thread to complete the second round here, so I had to go back in. But that shows you how I tie it off again. Aside from being just hard on the hands, this was really quite an easy project here. I started it at 10 o'clock at night because, of course, that's when the creative juice starts to flow. And there we're doing another knot. Going to pop that one under. Took me probably 6 hours altogether. I didn't do it all in one night. At about 2 a.m., I finally came down off of the creator mania. And but there, that one looks good. And then coming down here, just finishing this off. Had to go out and buy another hex wrench to get my wheel off, the CoverTech wheel. I have so many hex wrenches, and I did not have one that fit. I don't understand that, but whatever. But here we're doing the same thing. I put quilt basting spray on the back of all of these to help hold them in place, and then we're just going through, get that snip there. Here, I didn't record this, or I edited it out. These edges tended to flip up, and I didn't really want to trim them so much, and like I did the ones at the top of the hilt, so I used just a tiny dab of barge where they overlapped and stuck them down, and that worked out really well. And then here we're just doing all the stitching again and pulling that through, and then forgetting to tie the knot. This is the last one I had to do, and I still hadn't learned by this point to tie the dumb knot. So, and I managed to get the needle threaded again on the first try. This metallic thread was kind of tricky to get through the embroidery needle that I was using. It's great stuff. You can't break this. You can haul on it as hard as you want to. And it looks beautiful. I'll be interested to see how long it stays nice and gold. It's probably going to tarnish at some point. But there's that, looking good. Get the wheel back on. Finally quit fighting me there. And there we go. And that's that. I made a new tunic for summertime that's brown. You can see it there. And I wanted to dress up my saber a little bit. So, it's May the 4th. May the 4th be with you always. Thanks for watching.